Denne uken her har besøk fra California, og vi skal snart gå over på England, men vinene fra California har jo en stor og mektig base av tilhengere som kjøper nye produsenter. Dette er en produsent som har vært i Norge en stund. And I have to say, thank you for the weather, Tim. You brought some rainy days after 5 sunny days in Norway, and now it's pouring down. It's your first day in Oslo,
yes,
and you're coming with disaster. But luckily enough, you come with wine.
Yeah, I came with wine.
Yeah,
and rain. I didn't know it was my fault for bringing the rain.
No, but that's normal when you have people from California.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, we get too much sun in California anyway, so yeah. I brought the rain for you.
But luckily enough, the sunnies are coming now in the afternoon, so you will have some sun seen Oslo for the first time of surroundings for some days.
Perfect.
But I'm glad to invite you in the podcast because your wines have been popular in the special shops in Akerbrygge and others, and in some restaurants look and taste it. This will be the first time I taste it, but when I was introduced that you're coming to Norway, I said, we need to talk.
Yeah.
So what you can do is, if you can introduce yourself
a
little bit first, because the Murphy family who have started this project have a really was a catastrophic event who led to this. And then they built this and just built it in the right moment of time, if you see it, from our side, from Norway, that from 2007 up to today, there have been a huge demand after wines from California throughout the Burgundy market, and then it's coming into the market with good prices, good value, but it takes time to make good wine. And so please, but I will start pouring some wine, and we start with the Chardonnay Santa Barbara country, the 2022 vintage.
Great.
Even if it rains, it tastes good.
Listen, well, I mean, it's 11 o'clock, so anything tastes good right now.
Yeah, good there.
But so I'll tell you, so my name's Tim. I work for Presqu'ile, so I handle everything at the winery. But a little history about the winery is this. So the name Presqu'ile, which means almost an island or peninsula in Cajun, comes from a property that the Murphy family used to own not far from New Orleans. So the Murphy family, originally from the South, among several businesses, one being their large farmers, had this property, and it was multi-generational, meaning there was several different generations of the family had houses on this property. And it was called Presqu'ile because it sat right on this outlet of land going into the Gulf of Mexico there, and Katrina came, which was a big hurricane back in the 2000s, and
it was the third biggest natural catastrophe.
Yeah, that could have been an understatement. Yeah. So it was a disaster, and it just happened to be around the same time as Katrina came and took their property away. They were putting a lot of interest into planting vines in California. And so when we looked at creating a name for the property, it came just naturally to recall it Presqu'ile again, because most of the family was starting to move to California and building houses on the property as well. So
and that's you all have to start with that story, because the name is very special, you know. People stopped, you know. So you have it even in your emails, you have the translation in written.
Yes, how to say it. Yeah.
Say it. Is that? Not so many wine producers have that all the time. They start always why they're called. Had there been that from the beginning, that the name makes, what is this?
Yeah. Well, it's, from a branding perspective, it's probably the worst thing you can do is name your winery after a word that most Americans cannot pronounce.
Yeah. So you have fun the episode with people coming calling it whenever.
Oh yeah, they call it Presqu'ile, Presqu'ile, Presqu'ile. I mean, it's all over the place. Listen, most Americans don't speak other languages, so they mispronounce everything. So from a branding perspective, never do it. But for us, it really, and for the family, it just really meant something. And it was really important because, we are a family-run winery. All the family members have their input into whether it's the winemaking or whether it's the design of, our hospitality programs or anything. So,
but back in 2005, it have to be a really disaster to come back to that property after the hurricane have really left the building or left the...
Oh, yeah, there's nothing.
It was nothing there.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Not one building left. There's some foundation. The only thing that really survived was just like foundations there. There's no trees, nothing.
Yeah. But it still owns it.
It's still there.
But they still own the property.
Yes, they still own.
They haven't done anything.
No, they haven't done anything with it.
But then they moved to California and found after some while this a little bit up on the hillside and start using money, because if you go to visit you have been from outside and from visitor view. You've been a typical winery where you have visitors, you have our running business with, what should I said? The typical American way to sell wine, where you have wine clubs and, you're making small efforts to sell the wines to locals and to tourists and so on. But still, it's also the export market.
Yeah.
And that's one of the issues we have in Norway. That good American producers, they like to be in the States. They don't like to export. They do, but it's a kind of stressful.
Yeah.
Mostly because of papers, but also because of price. Because in the States, it's more easier for you to export to the States or other places than to export to Norway, for instance, because we have so huge wide of range of wines. So you are competing to, like here in Norway, we have many thousands SKUs to sell, so you are one amongst many. But it means that you have to have quality when you come into the market if you go through. And you did it. And that's good. And many tries to do this from the States, but they are discovering that Europe is something different. And now I come to the question.
Mm-hmm.
What is your thoughts about the American taster to the European taster? What is the difference?
Well, that's a good question. So,
I've been trying.
I think I think it comes back to the wines that you're first introduced to. So, I mean, I could give you a long answer. So, let's just look at American wine drinking, right? It's still relatively young, right? The growth of American wine really only started like in the 70s, but then it really caught fire in the late 80s and 90s. That's when people went from beer and alcohol when they went out to like, let's go out and have a glass of wine. And at that point,
I mean, then
it's still
Chardonnay was coming in.
Yeah. Chardonnay and Cabernet. And what would happen is wine is still yet to break into the culture of what I call the table in America. So, I mean, you go to Europe. I had the fortunate experience of living in Italy. And, there, when you sit down, the bottle of wine goes on the table, just like in America, a bottle of ketchup goes on the table, right? It's just part of the meal.
Yeah.
Well, that's relatively new for the States. And the way people got into wine is introduced more of a cocktail beverage. So what I mean by that is it's a beverage that they're having without food and wine. Not to this day. Now everything's... wine has become really part of the table in America, but just when it started.
But in the beginning.
Yeah. So when you're enjoying a wine without food and just on its own, you tend to like things that maybe a little bit more sweet, maybe a little bit more ripe, rich. You don't look at things like tannin and acidity, right? Because those are the components of wine that really make it enjoyable with food, right? You see that nice balance. But when you're drinking on your own, like what Americans were doing, like cocktails, if you will, they tend to be fruity, a little bit more sugar in it. Where I think people that are raised in Europe or here, they're used to having wine be more of a culture of the table, and you're more introduced to European wines that have more structure, like acid and tannin, and they're not as fruity and as ripe or as alcoholic as the States.
But now you're talking about the normal consumer.
Yeah.
It's coming into, they need some sweetness to enjoy it.
Yeah. But that being said, wine in America has completely changed. Those big, ripe, rich wines are no longer as fashionable as wines
So
like
if I tell you that Robert Parker area have stopped in the States.
Yeah, the Robert Parker era is
Gone. Oh,
dying.
yeah, it's dying.
Yeah.
But it have been, of course, you have the points and so on. That's still going good.
It is. I wouldn't say like
Other people, you read the points on different ways.
Yeah. And, it's arguable if points are as important as they were in the past. Like Robert Parker. And I also think it shows the maturing of the market and the maturing of the consumer. This is before you could have one critic like Robert Parker could rate a wine, let's say 96 points. That could, boom, it sells out, right? But now I think consumers are a little bit more savvy. And so critics aren't as powerful as they used to be.
But they are closer to nearby sommelier or nearby friends or whatever. Yeah. And also nearby better information sometimes.
Yeah, I think so.
Information flow.
Yeah.
Better. Because when I was learning about wine and drinking wine, the American wines and the points were, that was fantastic, 100 points wine. I couldn't understand why a wine should be an 88 point. I couldn't drink it because it was so heavy with oak. It was so heavy.
Oh, yeah.
But when it was stored and so on, I understood, this is a extraordinary wine for the future or something. But then we also see, probably also you have seen that the importance of the Robert Parker points have stopped. Maybe here in Europe I can see, or in Norway I can see early 2005, 6, 7 something, when Facebook and so on is arriving, it was more voices coming in. But now, really, we talk about Robert Parker as a standard. They come with the brochure with the wine, something, but we never discuss it. But when we see 99 points or 96 points from an international critic in Norway, we say, probably 3, 4 less. They would overrated some wine. That's happened. But you say that the influence of points are not there anymore. That means that the building of this winery in 2007, but it started a little bit before. They was looking for property for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I can give you like a quick, brief history of the winery itself. So, yes, the property was purchased back in 2007. It used to be an old flower farm. So, what happened was the family, let's call the patriarch of the family, Madison Murphy, got involved with a winery out in this area, Santa Barbara County, and quickly found out that the winemaker was more interested in putting money in his pocket than everything else. So he found himself where he had to take over the winery itself. And at that same time, his son was working at a famous winery in Santa Barbara County, Abon Clement.
With Jim.
Yes. So they said with each other, they're like, hey, we've got this project. What should we do? And they're like, okay, let's do this ourselves. But what we want to do is produce what we feel is cool climate wine, meaning Pinot Noir and Chardonnay in the best area in the U.S. So they went from Oregon all the way down through California, trying to find where they can produce cool climate wine. And I'll speak to what I mean by that. And what they did is they settled on this little piece of property in Santa Barbara County, specifically in the Santa Maria Valley. Now, when I said cool climate wine, this is what I mean. We're very far south in California. We're just 2.5 hours north of LA. But because of geography, which is interesting because you can go from Canada all the way down to Chile and all the coastal mountain ranges go north to south, except in this small little area where we're at, our mountain ranges open directly out to the ocean.
Yeah.
And in fact, we can sit in our vineyard, and when we do, we can see down into the ocean.
Yeah.
Why that's so important is we have this cool body of water pushing breezes up our valley constantly, so it remains quite cool. Like our temperatures are very similar to Champagne than they are to like Napa Valley, which is very warm.
These winds in the morning and in the afternoon, they're called something?
No, they're not. We just call them coastal breezes.
Coastal breezes.
Yeah. It's not like what's in France, the Schrock or whatever. Yeah.
Have a name.
No. we just have these constant breezes that are coming off the ocean that keep it nice and cool.
That, you have wind, but you don't have fog, as in stuff.
Well, we have something we call marine layer.
Yeah.
So
okay, just over the water.
yeah. So typically, what happens is we have this big fog or marine layer that sits on the ocean.
Yeah.
In the night, it comes in, covers us, and then as the land warms up, it goes way back out into the ocean again.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's beautiful pictures I've seen, and also when
it's gorgeous.
You can, oh wow, this is beautiful when you have a view of this when it in perfect condition, of course.
Yeah.
But that's also the key issue to the area that from in 2007 and today it's 17 years. It's some while.
Yeah.
At that time, it was a breaking point for the area to export. It was a breaking point for many things, and it was the right time. But what I see. The whole property of is 80 hectares around.
Yes, or
It was bought in one time, or it was
no, several different purchases. So currently, right now, the property is just over 500 acres.
Okay.
We have 72 acres under vine. We're currently planting another 40 acres. And of that, it's dedicated to Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Syrah, Aligote, Gamay, and Sauvignon Blanc, and a little bit of Nebbiolo. The remaining property is we have an avocado orchard. We're growing truffles. So we have oak trees that we farm truffles at.
Another reason
as well.
to come.
Yeah, another reason to come, right? And then we have an organic garden because when you come visit the winery as well, we have a chef in a restaurant, and she farms the garden as well. So we're preparing daily meals for everybody straight from our garden, which is very, very cool. And then the rest is we've restored back to the native flora and fauna of the area as well. Because as I mentioned, it's an old flower farm, and what we want to do is
it look fantastic out. As when you're visiting to the wine industry in California, it's different from the European, because the European is often the wine tourism is not so well organized, but you can have really good visits. You know, it's for a consumer, it's fantastic to go there. It's presented in a good way, even if it's a kind of a marketing thing from outside. But still, it's a hospitality. But it was a reason that was part of the plan from the beginning, or
yeah. So always right, because we want to create an environment where people can come up and just not taste the wine, but experience the area. So what I mean by that is, we want you to really, when you taste this wine, is taste the land that it comes from. So that's why we want people to come. We want them to enjoy food from our property. We want them to be able to sit in this area and see the mountains that are going from east all the way west. They want to look right down into the ocean. So we feel like it's very important to give people an experience and be able to share our sense of hospitality with them as well, because we think it comes out in the wine as well.
Because hospitality is something I've seen when I'm traveling in California. It's kind of, you can have the Walt Disney in Napa Valley, or you can have the Sonoma where you have farmers who have done it on the side.
Yeah.
But then you have a see that it's above it. More, there have been several very good kind of built around winery, but also built around wine tourism. And food is always coming out from, but it's kind of activity. It was very popular.
Yeah.
And it's still many Norwegians are going to California to have that trips. But means also the introduction to winery have been to sell a story was good.
Yeah.
But they have to be truthful. And I listened to a video on your web page earlier, and he said that we want to be visiting our home.
Yeah.
And it looks like home.
It's true.
It's
it's quite unique. You come to our property, and what we'd like to give you is everything of high quality, but we like to present it in a way of yes, you're coming to our house. So nothing stuffy, nothing formal. We're going to give you the best quality food, the best quality wine, but we're going to do it in a way like, welcome to our home.
But if we are noticed in the first Chardonnay.
Yeah.
For me, this is food-driven. I don't know the alcohol yet, but we're going to say that it's
low 13.
Low 13. And it feels, you feel it in the palate, but it still is a 2022 vintage. This is a kind of as you told me, the coolness is the fruit-driven things.
Yeah.
They have, tell me a little bit more about the wine.
Yeah. So to your point, we try to craft wine in more of a, I would say, like elegant style, meaning you're going to find at least for American wine, a little bit lower alcohol and a little bit more higher acid, right? We want them to be food friendly. We want them to be on the table. We want them to be, I don't know. We were very inspired by Burgundy. Yeah. Let's just put it that way. But this wine...
It's still not a Burgundy.
No, definitely not.
It's their own. This is them.
Yeah.
For Norwegian, we love that kind of acidity. We call it the sommelier acidity in California, whether you go to a wine bar and so on. Everyone, you have to have a acidity in the wine. If not, they are not good wine. But this is wine who have that typical Norwegian acidity levels who we loved.
We love it.
You feel it's a Chardonnay. You feel it's a kind of a Burgundy-like. I'm not a fan to look at that way because...
Me either.
No, because California have proved many times that they are making very good wine alone, so long they are keeping away from the oak heaven and go to make wines from a property, the way it is food from a property, not oak influence. So, and sometimes the oak influence was kind of, the market needs oak, but in Norway we are not to preach so much of oak. But if the oak is in the wild for a long time or it's not present, so then it's good. But I can't say anyone I like that who have that, if not they're old. But in Norway, you have people are drinking too early. Yeah. As I see now, this is a wine which should be drunk in some years. Could be drunk, but
it could be.
But it's difficult not to.
Yeah. So this wine, this is what we call our Santa Barbara County wine. So this is more of our appellation wine, if you will. So it comes from our vineyard, then a couple other vineyards right by us, all within, like I said, the Santa Maria Valley. So the idea here is let's craft a good, just enjoyable, more everyday wine, where when we do our single vineyards, they become a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
So we make this wine. It's, barrel fermented, no new barrel. When it goes down to aging, it ages about 6 months. Yeah. And then in barrel, then about 6 months in stainless steel. So just create something that's a little bit more soft, just a little bit more enjoyable, something that's not too serious, but something that's going to give you good quality for the price.
Yeah. And in Norwegian point of view, you're the first time in Oslo. The weather have stopped now. The sun is shining.
So I told you. You think I'm bringing you rain, but I'm bringing you sunshine.
Good to hear.
In a couple hours, it's going to be sunny.
Yeah.
I brought sunscreen.
Yeah. But I see that they are coming in. This wine is coming in. A segment was already here. It's good, and it's very good priced. One of the things I've seen at once. This is very good, and I see that the allocation to Norway are coming. That's good because if the wine and the name is pronounced, we have always problems with names also in Norwegian.
Yeah,
but it's easy to pronounce when you know it. But you should ask people to pronounce English names. You will have a big laugh sometimes. But it doesn't matter in the end how it's misspelled or whatever. It doesn't matter. But the main thing is that it tastes good. Have the wines changed from the beginning? Because
yes,
I saw some reviews of the wines earlier, and they are the wines have changed.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So, well, with anything, when you start something new, you have an idea of what you want to do, but that may or may not be the right thing. So a lot of times, you draw inspiration from other people. So with our winemaker, in order, the true inspiration was this one winery called Domaine du Jacques from Burgundy. This is one of their favorite wines, and so what they did is they really try to emulate the way that they're making wine. So what that means is, especially with Pinot Noir, it's whole cluster, a lot of whole cluster, right? Which gives you wines that could be like edgy and savory, and a lot of times they take time to become themselves.
Yeah.
And what we found is that necessarily doesn't work well with our vineyard site, because after, we planted everything, you get a taste, you get to make wine over several years, you start to really understand your property. And the issue of our property is remember I said with the proximity to the ocean, our vineyard's all sand. We are like literally an old sand dune.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And when you're growing Pinot Noir in the sand, you struggle with, some chemistry, some pH, and I won't get too nerdy on that kind of stuff. But it gives you like Pinot Noir that is super savory already. So when you combine a vineyard that's savory and whole cluster that's savory, you're like, man, these wines are
Crazy.
whack.
Yeah.
Right? So what we did is we actually rung Domaine Dujac and Jeremy Sace, who now runs the property after taking over from his father, brought him over as a consultant.
Yeah.
And so he started helping us work through some of our kinks, if you will, in the winemaking. Of course, the first thing he says is, no more whole cluster. It doesn't work here in California.
Take it away,
Don't work for you.
Yeah.
So, our wines went from, Chardonnays being a little bit more California style Chardonnays with a lot of wood, richness. We started picking those grapes younger to remain freshness, lower alcohol. And then the Pinot Noirs, we've gone away from whole cluster completely. We picked just almost a little bit later now. So
when do you think this happened?
This happened about 2015.
Yeah. So late. I mean.
Yeah. So we had about like a good 6-7 years
of years to understand the wine.
Yeah, it took us like good 6-7 years to figure out. Try to understand it, and then brought Jeremy in. He was really helpful.
It's also called the decision that you recognize. Okay, this is sand. This is, Yeah. Because I also read that some of the critics told you, okay, keep this for many, many years. You are probably drink some early 2008 and so on. They are probably now fantastic.
They're great.
And that's the thing that we lost now.
Yeah.
Because there's a different wine who come up to the wine. It was more ready earlier.
Yeah.
But still, you don't use a whole cluster at all? Not ever?
It depends. So with our vineyard, our single vineyard, no whole cluster.
Yeah, okay.
Right? The Sanford and Benedict we were going to taste, we have a little bit of whole cluster. Not a lot, but just a little bit there. Because that's a different vineyard, and it allows you to do that.
Used optical laser to No, that's not, because that's, I think, I don't know, but not too sure, but that's also a point of view to make more precise wine, if it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's a lot of investment, and sometimes it's not necessary to go to the perfect. It has to be drinking also.
Yep.
So that's the key issue. So, but I think the Chardonnay, good wine, very food friendly, Norwegian cuisine. You're going to taste it for a couple of days now. You're going to say, I will come back to Norway just for the food. I'll show you. Yeah, it's cool. I just
Perfect.
See the lights.
Yeah,
look after the light here in the evenings.
Oh, the Northern Lights.
Not the northern so far south. It's very rare, but here in the evenings is long. So it's light, very very long. So it's not ended 6 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be nice if you're awake. So
I'm awake.
Or so late, man. But we're going to taste the next one, and what we have in a glass then. It's a kind of step up. What do you think? It's this.
Yeah. So, as I said, the first wine was kind of our appellation wine. So a wine from our vineyard, then a couple of our different vineyards. Wine for more everyday, and now we're going to go into something a little bit more serious. So this comes
to vintage.
Yeah, so this is from the 2020 vintage, a little bit warmer of a vintage. But this comes from the appellation that's right next to us called the Santa Rita Hills. Santa Rita Hills is the exact same type of appellation as the Santa Maria Valley, so it opens up to the ocean as well.
Wow.
The important thing to notice between the two appellations, even though geography, they're similar. Completely different soils here, completely different temperatures. So they produce wines that are completely different. Santa Maria Valley tends to be subtle, soft, elegant wines, where Santa Rita Hills produces nice and powerful wines. And this comes from one of the most iconic vineyards in our area called the Sanford and Benedict Vineyard. It's the most historic. It was established in the 70s by a guy named Richard Sanford, who at that point when he decided, hey, after doing a lot of testing about soil, but also of climate, he decided, hey, this is where we're going to produce the best Pinot Noir and Chardonnay in America. And at that point, this is in the 70s, people were like, what are you talking about? But he quietly did it up there. And now man, it's a vineyard of legend, and it produces some unbelievable wines.
It's also important to introduce that.
Yeah, the age of the vines here.
Yeah.
So some of the oldest vines in the area for sure.
Yeah.
And that's some of the clippings we'll take from the Chardonnay. So this is from some of the historic clippings. This is mostly the Wente clone if you're into stuff like that.
But for me, it's the kind of this one here, 2020, a little bit matured in a way, but it's have a fantastic acidity underlaying complexity of fruits and layers of saltiness or salmini towards. But this was much better than that one. This is really, really good.
And this is your first time tasting this one.
This is the first time I tasted the wines.
Yeah, the crazy thing I like about
always when I introduce wines for the podcast and so on, we do some research.
Yeah,
saying okay, now we're coming in with another brand, because this area here have been some producers who have been successful in the Norwegian market for almost 10 years. It's coming in, but then also the willingness to export to Norway and also continue with sales to Norway are important. So someone have done it for 2-3 years and then they stop or take the price up. But if you want to be in the Norwegian market, you can easily be a name who's sold out. Which is a typical thing who's of course more known, but we buy it. The importer buy it. The rich. I think it's 1 year before it's finished on the premiere. But it's slowly built up to the export market, but only for the export, not for the all the portfolio. But this one here is, but it's not many bottles.
No, there's not many bottles. I mean,
1140 bottles.
It's a very tough vineyard to get grapes from, but I think that's what you said is for me the amazing thing about Chardonnay from the Santa Rita Hills and Santa Barbara County is you can get wines that can be so like gorgeous and give you so much on the palate. At the same time, it just can hold acidity very well as well. Yeah. And because of proximity to the ocean, I don't know if it's because I can just see the ocean, but I always pick up great salinity to it and some just nice, I mean, it's California sun, so you get this nice fruit component to it, but it's always so fresh because of the acid. 2020 was a little bit warmer year, so the wines tend to be a little bit more plush than normal. But that being said, I think it's a substantial wine.
There's 2 wines here. This is more a wine you can drink alone or food. The first one is typical food friendly. It's well priced, good introduction to the Chardonnay of the area, and I think it will be in 4 years, 5 years, it will be on the top of start drinking period. Some of the tops of the wine. It's to the price, very, very good.
Yeah.
But this was impressive, very impressive.
Yeah, the Sanford Benedict.
It's amazing. And I will say that from the Sanford Benedict wines I have tasted, it's one of the top I have tasted. So good, so really, really good.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Wines,
yeah, it's a.
We are going ahead with the Pinot Noirs. We are taking out the glasses. If you don't want to drink up, you have a long day in Yellowstone. So I think I help you to. Oh, you did it, yeah, of course.
Well, listen, I have no idea what time of day it is with jet lag, so.
Okay.
Could be happy hour or not.
You are in Norway. It's the middle of the day. Your name is Tim. Okay. Then we are good.
All right, so
we're not drinking akevits.
I have yet to try it.
We're gonna fix the akevits for you.
Nope.
We're gonna send you a postcard home. Check.
Okay, so.
But if you have to decide, is the Chardonnay or the Pinot Noir your best in? For the moment. Well,
I will say this. So I think, and there's a lot of people that are going to disagree with me, but I think our area has a possibility to produce some of the best Chardonnays in the world. I think they can make great Pinots, but for me, it's really about Chardonnay and its potential.
You think that the Chardonnay from the area, many more producers could go up some, but that also means that if you're going to make a better wine, you have to take some more money into it because it's a lot of investment. The land is getting more. Everything is faster, expensive in the sets. So the price is wolves, 10 years back, 20 years back, wow, we didn't get paid for the wines for 15 years ago, but today is decent, but it could be and have to be recognized as a high quality producing area. They are, it's pricey.
Yeah.
But if you compare it to the famous Burgundy, it's still not, it have to go up.
Yes. You know, I mean, I can look at our region, right, which is Santa Barbara County, compared to somewhere like Napa and some of the great vineyards in Sonoma. We are still a better value, and we can produce at a lower cost because of the cost of land yet, and the cost per ton for grapes is still, if you want to go to a prized vineyard, it's still, I wouldn't say affordable, but it's a better deal than if you went to Napa.
Yeah,
or if you went to or if you went to Sonoma Coast as well. Even some of those vineyards are crazy right now. So we are fortunate.
But you see also the wines, because of the Pinot Noir and Chardonnay sales from the land owner, it become more pricey. You see also other grapes are coming up, and there are some winemakers who do decent, good wines, but with, like you did probably do with Nebbiolo. You know, it's coming up, but it takes a long time to be recognized as a Chardonnay or Pinot Noir quality.
For sure.
Here, because if you come into from the States and sell in Nebbiolo, that's strange.
No, people are like,
yeah.
no.
People are strange.
Yeah.
I can accept Syrah because I've seen some example of Jim, for instance, who make beautiful Syrah, and some others who, but he was not talking so much of the grape. He was talking about the wine, the basic of the wine. That could be idea, but the pricing for some wines in who have been popular from Napa and Sonoma have gone crazy, mostly because the interest is high. And you have that sommelier people who just own in social media, and suddenly you can get better paid for the wine. I think it's good to get well paid, but sometimes it's over the top compared to markets like Norway. We have huge amount of wine from all over the world, and sometimes not only you but many are coming into the Norwegian high on the south, but they don't know what kind of category of quality they are. So they have to taste what's in the Norwegian market, like Spattogen or like a Pinot or whatever, because you can go to the shop and you have 200 different brands who is not similar but in the same parts of quality, and then you have the standout like this Pinot, who is just good.
Yeah,
very good. It's similar to many others, but it's high quality.
Yeah, like I said, this is so similar to our Chardonnay. This is more of our entry, if you will, appellation. Pinot Noir. A lot of this comes from our vineyard, and then a couple of vineyards just around us as well. But even when I say it's like our appellation or entry level wine, we treat it as serious as we would one of our single vineyards as well.
But easy drinking, it's straightforward, good fruit aromas, acidity, and the tannins are well integrated in the wine. But I will say that it's a day-to-day wine, and it's very easy to collect too.
Yeah.
So that's a key issue. But if you
want to pick up in this too, like one of the key signatures with Pinot Noir from our area as well is there's a little bit of a spicy quality to the wines that I pick up.
Some issues with spiciness over the top, over the fruit layer.
Yeah.
I was thinking when I tasted it, this one have been very good if it had been decanted 1 hour before we met. I mean that have been probably the best thing to do.
Let's do this one next. This is the Syrah.
Yeah.
So let's do.
Then we do the next one. Then we go back to the Sanford Benedict vineyards.
Yep. So we're back at Sanford and Benedict Vineyard. This is Pinot Noir from 2020.
And this is the step up at once. This is just amazing good. Good length. Strength.
Yeah,
still elegant.
For a Pinot Noir, like I said, remember this specific appellation, Santa Rita Hills, can produce elegant wines, but like powerful. I feel so for us. I get that tension and the power in this wine, but
if you compare it to Burgundy, it's a kind of a Burgundy structure, but then 2-3 layers with more herbs and some other stuff on the top, but still it's elegant.
Yeah.
And then in the end, it have this long-lasting acidity level, which is just stopping and makes you think that both of these Pinot Noirs are very good food wines. And you can store it for a very long time. This one you can keep in the cellar for a long time. I love to taste the first edition of the Pinot Noir.
I think our wines taste better in Oslo than they do in California.
You did? That's the jet lag. Yeah. You will see all the girls we have in Norway. They're all pretty. So this is the...
So the sunshine's going to come out and all the pretty ladies are coming out and the wine tastes good.
Have a look up and see. I don't know if you're married or not, but take a look around you. It's a lot of beautiful people in Norway. But as you see, as I tasted, this wine is kind of a structure. It reminds me, it's not, but it reminds me a little bit of Jasmin Hirsch in the north.
Oh yeah,
her wines when in the early days when you release them, they are like this, elegant, but they are something who's coming.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
This is just it's a young teenager who played good football.
Yeah.
And then you see he's good. He do some mistakes, but he's coming. You know he's good. Yeah. And then he just stop and start smiling like a star. This is the one you have. Yep. And Jasmin here, she is looking for that one, but this is kind of in the middle of her quality range. That's where you are. And Sant Andreas wine and so on. That's the style you have, but it have more tannins. It had a little bit more tannins. Different. She use optical lasers, so she removes more.
Are you saying ours has more tannins or Jasmine's?
No,
ours.
Yours have a little bit more tannins, but she used probably optical lasers to remove more fruit and so on. So it's more sooner elegant.
Yeah.
So
it could be done. You know what she's doing for punch downs and stuff like that too.
But it reminds me, extraction be the path for Norwegian consumer, because the Pinot Noir of Jasmin Hirsch in the basic listing is the 750 plus kroner. 75 euros is the best buy in the basic listing, and this is nearby, close by, and in 2 years' time, this is the same thing.
Yeah,
really, really good. But the structure of the wine is still first fruit-driven, good basic of the Pinot Noir. You recognize that at once, and then you see it at fantastic acidity with long-lasting, better than Hirsch. Better than Hirsch.
Thank you. Yeah, so 2020 was our first vintage as well, working with this vineyard. So we are
really good.
Yeah, we're now going into our fourth vintage with them. We're super excited. How many cases do we produce?
No, but with this one.
Oh, we produce. I'll give you cases. Yeah, so we produce about 100 cases.
Yeah. So it's but it just shows the area's potential in the early days.
Yeah.
That's.
And most of the cases came to Oslo.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. So it's a super fun one.
Yeah, it's good. But both the Chardonnay and both Pinot Noirs are really. Yeah, I'm impressed. But the Sanford Benedict is the top thing, but it's good. But then it's as we mentioned before in the podcast, times go by. But the next one is a Syrah. And it's still not in the market yet.
Let me tell you one more thing about the Sanford Benedict. We enjoy these wines so much, and we think the quality is so good, is that we are now planting 40 acres right next to this vineyard. We just purchased that this year, just because we think the potential in this area is unbelievable.
Fantastic good.
Yeah.
So the demand after, when we are left, Robert Parker have left the building, then we rent off the point.
Just like Elvis.
You have left the building. Yeah, and then you can see that if you see into European palates and tasters, look wider and have some control of the tannins and keeps the acidity, who recognize the area, long-lasting acidity, but also that you have wines they can really recognize where it comes from. That's the future, and then let people taste it.
Yeah,
because people are recognized, like for instance, other wineries quite easily. But this one here is recognized where it's coming from. It's special. It's good. But the Syrah, I'm looking forward to.
Okay, let's try it.
It's coming.
It's coming.
But since you're here, we 6,100 bottles is produced, so it's not a big production.
No.
That's part of the family owned. That's the production is not big. How much wine do you produce totally?
So we produce just over 20,000 cases of wine.
Yeah.
The majority being our Santa Barbara County Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, and then all of our single vineyards. And this is just a small selection.
Yeah.
Very small amounts.
This is a very good Syrah. It's classical in the aromas. At once, you poof in your nose. We use a real glass, so it's good for the glass, for the wine.
Mm.
But still, I was expecting something with much more higher alcohol feeling, but it's not.
No.
This is just.
That's the tricky thing about Syrah in California. Like if you're just a consumer and you go into a store and you look at the shelf of Syrah, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if it's going to be 15% alcohol, just like candy, or you're going to get something completely opposite like this, which is like light, it's balanced, it's elegant. For me, it's got...
past 13 or 14? Oh.
This is 13.
35, yeah.
Maybe? Yeah, 13 too.
Yeah.
But it's got everything I want in Syrah, right? It's got herbaceousness to it. There's a meatiness to it. There's almost like a bigness to it, but it's not big at all because it's got all that acidity to it. So there's like great freshness to it. I think Syrah does very well in this area.
If I have learned something from this moment with you, Tim, it's that you're not bringing the rain. The sun is coming. And you show me a Syrah who is just fantastic good. That reminds me that do not ever think that the Syrah is just another wine from California, because this Syrah is one of the best in the market. Really, it's elegant, it's fruit-driven, it's strong, but still light. And even if you say that the Pinot Noir and Chardonnay is good wines, you're making a hell of a good Syrah.
Well, thank you.
And you have to take, together with importer Rebel, bring them some Norwegian cuisine and ask them to serve this field like this now. And you will be amazed that you will come up here often just to have the little sunshine in Norwegian meadow.
Yeah.
But again, Tim, we're going to meet again. I'm pretty sure. You're gonna
in the sun.
Maybe I'll come to California.
Please come. Drive some motorbikes.
Yeah. Do you have a motorbike?
Not anymore.
No, but you're gonna have one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you have to.
I had two children and no more motorbikes.
No. You have to talk with your wife. A big serious talk.
I'll let you talk to her.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I'll let you do that.
Yeah. But it's nice to meet you.
Yeah. Cheers.
We're gonna end now.
Thank you so much for having me.
We will have over the 1 year how to visit you.
Yeah.
I know that you have fantastic facilities, and it's one of the things you have to do when you produce wine. You have to invite home, and you have done it.
Yeah.
Yes. And say to the Murphy family that I love it.
I will.
Thank you.
And please, anybody who wants to come to our house, as you said, have lunch with us, taste some wine.
And sleep in the vineyards.
We can sleep in
it.
It's
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers.